2 years ago, I would have been spending days doing this, and I probably would have been in Canva doing it. Whereas now I can just do it on AI. So what is our mid-year point? July. It's a perfect month to look at all of this properly, isn't it? Before the rest of the year compounds, whatever you decided in January. We've got July, end of June. We needed to put our tax in. We need to have finished. So it's the perfect time, because we've put our tax in, because we've done all those things, to then look at it, use the spreadsheet and go, I can now work out my value. I can now work out my numbers.
Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, coaches, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to the needs of you, the practicing natural therapist. We have interviews during the holiday season and business and mindset support each week, so you'll get the variety you need to enjoy and stay motivated in your practice. If you want to connect with me, always check the show notes, because that's where you'll find the links to book appointments. Now, let's get started.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. How the devil are you? I would like to welcome my Strategy Lab members. I did comment on the Katies the other week, and one of the Katies said to me, good one, I'm here, and I was listening. That was really great to hear. Now, it's very cold where I am. So if you're watching the video rather than just listening, you'll see that I'm in a big woolly jumper. Hopefully it won't affect the sound and you'll hear everything perfectly. So why are we here? We're here because you're my people and I'm your people. You're in solid practice probably. You're a naturopath, you're a nutritionist, you're a herbalist, and we're moving into the mid-year. Well, we're not moving into it. We're hitting it full buck, smang, boom, aren't we? So what we're talking about, because it's mid-year reflection, we are talking about what's happening for us financially. And when we flinch is kind of specifically this one. Now, out there in podcast land, I really hope that you're thinking about how you're moving forward and what you're moving forward with and the changes that are happening online and in the things that you do. I've got the Monday group, and you can join me if you want to in the Monday group or in the Strategy Lab, where the workbooks are sitting waiting to be completed. What we're talking about today are the reframes of conversations, because, there's all of mid-year, everyone's worried about money. Everyone's always worried about money. Everybody's not ever worried about money. I've been through 5 recessions in my business, and at no point were the media not able to whip up something about worry and scare over money. So, this is normal for them. They're just on the same playbook. Cost of living crisis. There's always been a cost of living crisis. There've always only been a few trillionaires and lots of billionaires and the rest of us. That's the way it works. And they're not going to change that. So we just have to get on with being us, enjoying our life, and actually having a better life than they do overall. And how are we going to do that? We're going to make sure that our business brings in the money that we need it to bring in. We need to make sure that our business brings in joy as well. There's no point doing a job you hate, that you're not confident in, that you're not enjoying. But also on that, if you're not enjoying it, why not? What is it we need to change? How can we shake that up so that you are enjoying what you're doing? So your clients found you, right? They found you online. They've gone through their things. They found you in the 20 places. So they Googled their problem. They found your website through Google My Business. I bang on about that. Then they've gone and looked you up on Instagram. Then they've gone and looked you up on Facebook. Then they've gone and looked you up on LinkedIn. Then they've come back to your website. Okay, so they've done all of the things. They found you in other places. And then they've checked in with a friend who's also Googled you and done all of those things and said, yeah, well, she looks okay or he looks okay. They're covering what your problem is. So then they book in with you. Okay. So they have booked in. They've taken that step. Some people do discovery calls first, depending on how they might run things a little bit differently. And their explainers are better when they verbalize. And so they speak to people directly. They welcome people directly. And so it works for them to have discovery calls. Discovery calls have only ever worked about a third of the time for me for clients, more often for mentoring than for clients, because with clients, I tended to always give, go and do this, go and do that. And then if they said, oh, should I get bloods done first? I would always be like, yeah, why not? Which is really wrong. It's come in and see me and let's decide what we need to do first. So, but when we think of the money they've booked in, where are we flinching? I've decided to call it flinching because when I see people and, in a shop, nobody flinches about the price. They go, oh, yeah, that's, $100, that's $500, that's whatever it is, and they just expect you to present your credit card. Whereas when you're not in a shop working behind the counter and you're working one-to-one with people, you tend to be a little bit kind of iffy, really, about taking money off them. You're worried about whether or not they can afford it. But they actually booked in with you first. And if you've been clear on your website how much it's going to cost, and what the outlay is going to be, then why are you worrying about how much it's going to cost them? They've put that money aside for their health. They are doing the best thing for their health. For some people now, they can, of course, get some money back from private health again, like we had in the past. And, when that first went away and everyone was really worried, what am I going to do? I won't have any clients. I actually had no change. I had no dip in clients when they took that away because they only ever got back a small amount of money anyway. It was only the first and second appointment. And then after that, it had generally run out anyway. So I had no worries at all when they stopped being given their private health, which should speak to you saying those people booked in. Those people had thought about their health and they'd put that money aside. Yes, if they can get something back from their private health because they give their private health a lot of money, then great. Good on them for getting a little bit back. But that's not the sole reason that they're coming to see you, is it? To use up their private health fund. They're coming to see you because they have a health condition. And they're coming to see you because you're the one who aligns with them. They've looked online, they've gone through, they've searched everything, and they've thought, yeah, her purple hair, I'm booking in there. She's the one. So what we need to be able to do is reframe the pricing conversations that are going on in our head and coming out of our mouths when we speak to people. All right. So one of the things that I did many moons ago was I had a client come in and I was like, oh, I'm really sorry. This appointment's going to be $200 plus and she was like, oh no, thank you. I've spent thousands on specialists and she's well now. This was the mother about the daughter. And she said, I've spent thousands on specialists and she's well now. And yet I thought through the entire consult because she was stony faced the whole time, every time I saw them. And the daughter was like bouncing around, that I was doing something wrong. I had implanted my own thoughts on her. That was what I was thinking. I'm thinking, oh, she's worried about the money. Oh, she's worried about this. No, she was worried about her daughter. She wanted to know what was wrong so that her daughter could go to uni because she'd been held back because of illness. So let's not put ideas in our clients' heads. Let them be the dictator of their wellness, not us. So we need to reframe. Money paid is not the same as value received. Okay. So if we're too low, if a consult with you cost $20, then who are the people you're going to get? No one? People kind of wouldn't trust you because they think, well, every massage therapist is $100 an hour. Every naturopath is 120. How come you're only 20? What's wrong with you? What's going on there? Do you see what I mean? So we have to really think to ourselves, money paid is not the same as value received. And when we discount in our head as well after the booking, when we think, oh, they've paid the booking, are they going to afford the supplements? We actually have to remember it's really good if they've paid in advance because they're not going to see you maybe for a week or 2 weeks. They will have had another paycheck come in by then. They can afford the supplements. You are going to give them supplements at the end of the day, whether that be herbs or nutritionals, whatever it is. They've come to you and they wouldn't have come to you if it was simply eat more broccoli, would they? They've come to you because they know you're going to send them away with things. Because if the simple answer was eat celery and broccoli, we'd all be doing it and we'd all be well. But that's not the answer, okay? Oh, and when they come in and say they're on a celery diet, make sure they're having organic celery because it's really heavily sprayed. Just a little aside, when you look at them and they say, oh, we're doing the celery drinks every day. Back on track. Let's not us carry all of their problems. we do carry their problems. We do think about our clients after the fact. So we have to get those boundaries sorted. We have to bring in those boundaries so that we're not thinking about them after the appointment. Really hard to do, which means you need to finish up that paperwork at the end of that client. You can't see them for too long. Don't have them in the room. My rule is the sicker the person, the less time you spend with them because they can't tolerate it and you need to give them less. Someone who's relatively well, you can get them to do more things. But when someone's sick, you can only get them to do one, possibly two things to change. So we don't need to see them for a very long time, which actually gives us longer to do our paperwork, to do background reading and do all of those things. But that's all on the spreadsheet. So that's the bonus spreadsheet that is waiting for you inside Strategy Lab. So I've given away a spreadsheet in the past. So if anybody's listening, age-old one, there was one, but I've really updated that. I've added extra pages and there is much more in there. So that's waiting for everybody inside the Strategy Lab. So, people flinch about the money. Healthcare should be affordable. Absolutely right. But in no universe are we going to be covered by Medicare. It's just not going to happen. Medicare is not going to take on any more practitioners. It can't afford the ones it has now. No one's getting a Medicare rebate because, we've got registration or suddenly things are different. It's just not going to happen. We won't be getting Medicare rebates. So healthcare should be affordable, but everybody does it in their own way. Some people will be Googling the answer, getting it from AI, but are they following it? Is that unique to them? Probably not. The healthcare should be affordable. That's policy level and it's weaponized as well at a personal level. So should I absorb the gap? Well, you can't. You're not going to get Medicare covering their consults with you. And only in some things do people get Medicare anyway. All right. So what else do people say? If I were really good at this, people wouldn't pay too much. If I was really good at this, how much would people really pay me? Do they really need to pay me? If I was good, I'd have more people. These are things that you're putting onto yourself. These are impressions you're adding to yourself when you shouldn't be. That's nothing to do with you. You advertise your going rate or your rate as very similar to everybody else's. We don't want to be super high and we don't want to be super low. We really want to be set the same as pretty much everybody else. And that way, when a client chooses us, they're choosing us for who we are, not for the cost of the appointment. If it's $10, $20 different, somebody may choose the other person over you, but they'd have to then feel okay with that person. They wouldn't just be choosing them for the price. They might be looking at them going, well, I really like both of these people. Who am I going to pick? They're both really similar. They both offer it in a similar way. They're both saying I'm going to see them the same number of times. Okay, I'll go for the one who's $20 cheaper because both of these people look the same. But chances are, once they look you up and start looking through your things, they're choosing you for you. All right. So we do have to think about price. Yes, absolutely. But we want to make sure that we're putting that in relation to all of our colleagues who are also all in solo practice. I believe that you should be advertising how much it costs to see you because it means that people aren't, just ringing or thinking, shall I, shan't I, not knowing if they can or can't because of the price. So just leave it honest and open and out there. Don't hide things. And if you don't hide things and someone books in with you, then you can go, yeah, they're booking in for me. They're booking in to see me because they know how much it's going to cost. It's very clearly there on the website and on the booking page. We need to reframe as well that money paid is not the same as value received. So value can be in multiple ways. So the person may perceive value for what you give them. You might give them a workbook, like Strategy Lab has workbooks. There's workbooks sitting inside the Strategy Lab, and I'm going to go through that workbook in a moment with the members. So, so there's perceived value. There is work to do. There's the spreadsheet to do if they want to. You don't have to do anything. But those things are there to support the members. So there is value in that. And if people do the work, then they've received the value. Okay. So we need to stop carrying both sides of the transaction. And your client already did the mathematics. They already figured it out and they don't need you to do it on their behalf. I've set the Strategy Lab at $35 a month because I feel this all works in really well together now. And I actually have more support because I have AI. I used to spend hours creating workbooks in Word, literally hours, days, and then you'd lose it and then it would go off the page somewhere and then it'd be a different size. And now I can put all of my information. I just sit there, type, and I put it in. I say, I want a text box with these in it. I want this. And then AI comes out with it. Then I go back. I have another look. I go, no, I need an extra text box there. I need this there and that there. And it's all done for me. So whereas 2 years ago, I would have been spending days doing this. And I probably would have been in Canva doing it. Whereas now I can just do it on AI, which also is problematic for you guys, and that you can do it on AI. So you're also thinking, well, my client could just do this on AI. We will talk about that in subsequent podcasts. I think that's a bit bigger than what we're doing today, and we will go into that in subsequent podcasts. So what is our mid-year point? July. It's a perfect month to look at all of this properly, isn't it? Before the rest of the year compounds, whatever you decided in January. We've got July, end of June. We needed to put our tax in. We need to have finished. So it's the perfect time, because we've put our tax in, because we've done all those things, to then look at it, use the spreadsheet and go, I can now work out my value. I can now work out my numbers. Okay. Which is really important. So I'm going to break with you out there in public land right now. So if you're not in the strategy lab, then you need to go and look at your numbers. You're about to get them. You're about to submit your tax return for the end of the month. You're going to do all of those spreadsheets and you're going to be working out your family tax returns and what's going on. But you also need to think on the next step. What is your next step and how are you going to do that to make sure that you achieve what you want to achieve as we go into the new financial year? All right. What are you paying out? What about subscriptions? What ones can be cancelled? Have you got any that are going to catch you by surprise? I just got caught by surprise by the New York Times because I got it really cheap the first year with like $17 or something for all the games. And then I didn't mark in my diary when I had to cancel it by, and I just got $100 bill. Great. Just what I didn't want, because I hadn't noted down that subscription because it's in a different place and they didn't send me a reminder, which is a bit rude. So we need to know these numbers, and you're about to do them anyway. You have to do them for the end of June. So in the Strat Lab, we're going to be going through the real cost of doing business, including unpaid hours and the 3 numbers every solo practice should know down cold. And the workbook is, of course, already in the members site. Now, the public feed, I hope you're enjoying it. And I'd love to hear from you and I'd love to catch up with you, because it tends to be the ones in my strategy lab and my regular listeners that are emailing me. Perhaps you're not regular. Perhaps this is the first time you're dipping your toe in which case you can book, a short focus call with me and we can discuss your needs and what you need. And if I don't think, you need the strategy lab, or I don't think you need to be in my Monday group, don't worry, you won't go in them. I only want people in there who want to be there because it will support them in their ongoing practice. So strategy lab members, we are about to go through your workbook. We're going to be talking about mindset work, about money conversion. Let me have a double check. Yep, we've got 3 areas that we're going to go through now. So everyone in public facing land, it's been lovely to chat with you. Please make sure you go and check your numbers and have a think. How do I perceive things? What do I put into my head when I'm thinking about numbers around my clients? So I'm going to leave it there for you guys. Look after yourselves. Have the very best rest of day. And you will hear from me next week on The Encourager. So have a good one and we'll catch up soon. See ya.
Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. Bye for now.